If you bought this printing station from Amazon and you're stuck, we're here to help. All right, everyone. You're probably in the same boat as us, is why you're looking at this video. The 6-station, 6-color screen printing press purchased from Amazon. This is how it came to us as well, in 4 separate boxes with no instructions. So if you're looking for some assistance, stay tuned and we're going to get this up and running. You can follow along and get yours up and running as well. All right, a quick look. We did notice that the boxes are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, even though that doesn't mean much to you, because over here is box 3, which is the base, which we will get started on first. All right, the initial unboxing. This is the base, and the boxes are labeled, and this is box 1, and no instructions to be found anywhere. So we are going to get started and make this as easy as possible for everybody. Okay, to this point, we are through the first box, which is our base. If you're missing anything from here, you are not off to a good start. Okay, we're starting assembly on the base. And just make sure, one little tip, is make sure that the bolts drive through the outside inward, otherwise the studs will stick out. Okay, looks like we've got the base here. Get stand it up, that's the orientation. The large holes go at the top. And then the legs will go right on here. So don't put too much time in the self-leveling as it is. We're just trying to get some alignment. And then we will adjust that accordingly. Okay, as you can see, we got the first leg on, 3 more to go. Don't put too much thought in the leveling at this point. It's not gonna help you much. Okay, took about 15 minutes. The first box is complete. There is the base, and we are on to box 2. All right, guys, looks like this is the second box. What you're looking for is the small rotary head, which we believe will sit right on top of that, and then you'll build up from there. Okay, we do have the small rotary on here. We should show you down here. This is important that you make sure that this is facing on the outside. And then the same as all of these, just for aesthetics, the bolts need to drive in and then the nuts go on the back side. Okay, so we are still proceeding. Don't confuse yourself. Within that second box where the rotary is, the small one, there's all these other components. Stuff like this will not go on until the very end. But do keep it to the side. It looks like it's not boxed in order as we previously first thought, but let us confirm that. Okay, once you've got the base up, we showed you the small rotary head. Now what you're looking at is these 2 arms. There's actually 6 in total. They'll come in a box on their own. It's a little confusing because you want to take this, and the natural tendency, and you see the grooves there, you think it goes under where these grooves are, but that's not correct. It comes up here and sets, and that's where the screen printing board will actually sit on. And then this piece does not bolt to those. This piece will sit right here on this spline, and that's what it'll rotate on. There'll be another fastening mechanism, but it is not on the arms. We'll get the other 4 on. Okay, ignore that handsome fellow back there, but what we do have, we have a mostly assembled screen printing table, and now we are going to pull this guy out and get the top started. It's going to start looking like the product you purchased. All right, you see here we got all the arms, and we have the guides is what we're going to call them. So they got the rollers on it to switch between stations, but you also see the groove here is one of the alignment tools used. So when you're doing the actual screen printing, you are not too much to the left or right, top, bottom, very basics, but this one is a nice feature that some of them only have a 1-channel system, and this one has a 2-channel, basically quality checking system. So one of the perks of this system. All right, you'll see we got the second part of the table on here, and the features we were talking about before. You can see the alignment pin going down in here, and now we should have mentioned earlier, you're going to want to leave most of the hardware relatively loose, because here is where you will start tightening and moving accordingly on these arms and whatnot, so that way it is directly straight. You'll go back in here and start doing your tightening. Now at this point we're not sure if we would actually test some shirts first or if you tighten before we go to the next step, but we will find out. Okay, so it gets a little confusing here. So this piece actually will sit on the edge of this arm, which is for the top that the actual screen itself will come down on. Let me get a better picture there. Okay, it goes right in those holes. However, before you put those on, you also have to put the end on, which I'm not sure the name of the piece is called yet, but it's this piece. Here's the orientation. It goes out this way from the arm, like this. So what you'll do is you'll take the piece, the screws, or the bolts out of that original partner piece, whatever you want to call it, and run it through the backside here. Again, leave these loose until you get further on. Okay, take a look what we got here. Pano mode. Look at this, it's coming together very nicely. And here, we can kind of run through it just so you'll start understanding it. Here's where the top screen will go, where you actually will have the colors that come down. Will sit on the board, wipe your product on, release, go to the next station. So far, very pleased with the quality of this product. Now on to the next part. Okay, let's take a step back here and look. We got the assembly going. One thing we did just go back and do, we found it in another box. These little bars right here, attached to the arm, to the actual swivel table itself. Just a little bit of added stability. Screw at the bottom, screw at the top. Pretty simple. And then down here, we're looking, we have all of these, basically set style screws. Get everything lined up. You're not gonna know this. That's what we're gonna share with you. This little piece fits right over here. Slotted side on slotted side. And what you're doing with these is once you start getting your screens, this is what will keep everything lined up. You'll see here as well, same thing. To make sure everything's centered, you're gonna put these sides in, center it, and then make your adjustments as needed. You will see there's quite a lot of those, but it's very important to get the proper fitment and alignment. Okay. Here's where we're at now. What you'll see, what we've added to the top, we've not worked that far ahead, don't worry. What we added was all of these type of pieces. I told you that the slotted piece and whatnot. These are all a series of adjusters, which will go on the screen print themselves, but we do not have. Yet, basically any spot that has a hole is an adjustment, except for these, as those are for the springs that will run to here. What you're seeing complete here, we have added, it's got the set screws on the side, 2 knobs on the bottom. The intent of this is to get this nice and flush, and you will take those boards, we'll find them. That sits right on here. Again, whoops, gotta tighten it. Screen comes down, lays on board. 1, 2, up next. This is how it comes boxed. Here's your toggle screws, I guess they'd be called. Then the screws that actually drill into the bottom of the wood, which will go through these pieces right here to go up. Board sets on here. So you're going to want to make sure you get that all lined up first, nice and flush and level, so the board sits level, but is also secure enough so it doesn't wobble when proceeding to do your printing. So put the last one on and we will go to the next step. Thank you. Okay, got the last one on. We will put the boards in place but not screw them in today until we do our adjustments. We did also put in this stopper. As you'll see here, there's just one threaded rod that goes in. There's 6 obviously. Has the felt, comes down, catches it, proceed. Next, next, next. Very simple. Now we're going to put on the springs. Okay, we are on to the springs. They come separate, so you got the springs, and then you have the tensioners here. These tensioners, when they come, are fully threaded in and will not reach. So all you do is just keep twisting them until they go all the way out. Bring them over here and make sure you have the proper orientation. So that way the spring itself does not make contact with this over and over and over. We believe at this point the hook goes up. The more rounder part with the bigger ID goes this way. Then you have the tensioner here. We're not putting much pressure on it at this point until everything gets lined up, and then those will all be tightened down as well. Even with the slight tightening over there, it is still tight when you actually do raise the screen lever. So it is working. Okay, folks, this is about as far as we can get without having the screen print pieces themselves. But you'll see here, very self-explanatory. Spring, tensioner, and all you do is start twisting, and it tightens, brings the threaded rods both in. So it looks like we are basically complete with what they provide from lovely Amazon. And now we're on to the next portion with the screens themselves.